graph relationships, we need to go over the following three skills. To be able to make a table of values from the equation, plot points on the graph, and then find the pattern that connects the points. And in our cases, we're going to be looking exclusively for straight line patterns. So we sometimes are given x values to plug in, but sometimes we need to choose them ourselves. So when we choose them ourselves, we need to make sure that we choose x is 0 as one of the coordinates. So when I plug in x is 0, I get -1. Now I'm going to choose a couple points to the left. So when x is -2, I calculate y is -7, and I just make sure that I can fit it on my grid. If it goes outside my grid, I can always scale my axes. I'm going to go to the right. X is 1, y is 2, x is 3, so I'm going to space them out a little bit. Y is going to be 8. So those are my coordinates. I can use these as ordered pairs. The x-axis is always along the horizontal, the y-axis along the vertical, and when we write these as ordered pairs, the x always comes first. So graphing these coordinates, I'm going to go start at the middle. I'm going to go horizontally first, so -2 means I go 2 to the left. -7 means I go 7 down, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's my point. 0, -1 is going to be a point here. 1 over 2 up is going to be a point here. 3 over 8 up is going to be a point here. Now, when we graph this, we want to check to see that these points line up. They do line up. And the pattern that we are looking for is going to be this straight line pattern through these points. And so we draw the line through the points. We don't stop on the end points. We always draw straight through to show that the pattern continues past the last points. When we have a relationship, we're talking about an XY equation as well. And we can graph it. So there's this connection between the table, the graph, and there should also be an equation. So first of all, let's graph this. The relationship is between the amount of money spent on advertising and the number of new customers we get on the y-axis. So if we spend $2,200, I'm going to say that that's 2,000 here, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 here. So 2,200 is going to be somewhere around here, and 500 we'll say is right about there. So for 2,600, so we're going to spend $2,600, it's going to be somewhere around here. And then for $4,700, we're going to go up to 1125. So this is 10, 1125, somewhere around there. So the points line up relatively, and we're going to draw our straight line through those points. Okay, using a ruler we could probably get more accurate, and it looks like it's going to cross the y-axis somewhere down here. Now to write the equation, we need to know two things. We need to know the ratio of change or slope. So we want to know what the slope is as a ratio of change in y compared to change in x, and we can do that through any 2 points. So we're going to measure this change on the table. So this change here will show up on the table as well. And the change in y looks like we went up 625, so we subtract those two numbers. And the change in x, we went, change in x, a little triangle. That little triangle means change, and we went up $2,500 spent. And so the ratio of change in x to change in y is something we call slope. So 625, 2,500. Okay, and then when we divide these, this is the slope, so the change in y compared to the change in x, we end up with 625 compared to 2,500, and this is a ratio, when we simplify this, is 4 to 1. Okay, so for every dollar spent, we get 4 customers. And we could also show this as a unit rate of 0.25. When and this is, sorry, I should show this here, the rate change in X, the change in Y is 625 to 1250, 2,500, and this works out to be a ratio of 1 to 4, okay, or $0.25 per customer. Okay, so then the equation looks like this. So we want to know what the equation looks like. So the number of new customers that's our Y, is equal to 0.25 times the number of dollars spent, which is our X. And then we have to figure out how many new customers do we get for $0 of spending. Okay, so that's our y-intercept, and we need to figure out the y-intercept. We can kind of trace it back using our slope. I'm going to show you a way we can find that y-intercept by just plugging into our equation. So my equation looks like this: y equals 0.25x plus an unknown b. A truth in math is that any xy pair in the table should fit into the xy pair in the equation. So when I do this, I'm going to end up with 2200 equals 0.25 times, the other way around, sorry, the number of customers, 500, is equal to 2200 plus b, and b represents where we start from. So when I work this out, 0.25 times 2200 is going to be 550 plus b. When I solve for b, I get negative 50 new customers. Okay, so that's my b value, and that happens to be negative 50. And so then I can plug in that b as negative 50, so I'm going to do minus 50 as my starting point. So minus 50 represents the starting point. And so there's my equation. Y equals 0.25x minus 50. And that represents the equation that allows me to calculate this table of values and plot these points on the line.